Hello and welcome to the 70th and final video in the PHP MVC Framework series. I know I've said that it's going to be the final video a lot of videos ago, but I think it really will be the final video here because 70 is a good even number, and I got some exciting stuff to share with you guys, so make sure you stick around for that. Whether you've made it through the entire series or you're just here on the last video trying to decide if you're going to go through the 70 videos to create this framework, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much for being a part of this series and my channel. If you've enjoyed it, please leave me some likes and comments and thumbs up, and make sure you hit the bell notification, and please subscribe to my channel. That really helps me out. But if you've gone all the way through these videos, I just want to give you guys a round of applause. This has been quite the journey. It's been a long journey for me as well. I started shooting these videos 2 years ago, believe it or not. And, well, it's been a long time. So a lot of things have happened in my life. I shared a little bit with you guys in other videos about that, so I won't go into it. But it took me a long time to shoot the first set of videos, and I was actually shooting this course to put on Udemy for sale, and I sat on them for a year unable to finish them, so I figured I would just upload them for free to YouTube instead of trying to put them on Udemy. And another year went by after I uploaded those, and I started again with these videos and finishing up the series here. And when I first set out on this endeavor, it was to show how you could create a framework, and mainly the purpose was just to become better programmers. I didn't really intend on creating a framework that is usable in the real world, but there are a lot of people using this framework in production now, and I have continued to expand upon this framework, and I'm going to be releasing this as open source to the public, and I've added a lot to it. I've fixed a lot of bugs, and I have just extended it and made it better. Refactored a lot of things that we've done here in these videos just to make things work even better and more secure. So I will show you guys where you can get a hold of that. So going forward, that's where you'll go to look at the framework. It's quite a bit different, but it's still familiar enough, and most of it's this. I wouldn't say most of it, but you guys would still have a very deep understanding of how it works, especially if you look through the code. I am also working on full-fledged documentation as well as getting started tutorials to go along with it. So keep an eye out for that. But we'll get to that in a little while. What the purpose of this video is I'm going to show you guys how to fix a couple bugs that we left off with the validators, and it'll be very quick to fix the bug. And then I've had a lot of people asking me, how do you do Ajax with this framework? And it's super simple, but I just wanted to go ahead and on this final video just show you how to do the Ajax responses, or the JSON response that you can make Ajax request. You can also use the same logic to build an API with as doing your Ajax requests. So I'll show you that, and then I'm going to very briefly show you guys where you can get a hold of the updated framework and where it's going to be going forward. We'll also be coming out with a website for it soon, which I don't have yet. All right, guys, so let's jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my screen here. All right. And where we left off in the last video, there's a couple things that I want to show you. One, we had a major bug, just a fault in logic inside of our unique validator. So when you try to update something, I had an error in my logic when I typed it out. So it's only one character fix, but it makes a big difference. So if you go to core validators and open up unique validator, right here where we have this comment saying check updating record, and we have ID is equal to the bound model ID, that is incorrect. This should be not equal to. The rest of these are equal, so when you add fields to do the check with, it's going to loop through them and continue to add them. But when we do our query, we want to make sure that the ID is not equal to the current ID, and so that is part of the fix. So that is that. I will show you a few more things that we need to do. So I'm going to leave this file open. And then what we're going to do is, let me just double check here, my reference. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and scroll down a little bit and open up the model.php. And we need to add a new method here. So if you scroll down to the bottom, I think we'll add it down there. And what we're going to do is add a new method called isNew. So after this after save here, I'm just going to put a public function, and it's going to be called isNew. And then what we're going to do here is just return a ternary operator. It's going to be a Boolean. And so we're going to check if property exists, and we're checking inside of this object. So if the property exists inside of this object of ID, okay, so if that exists and it's not empty, then what we're going to do is actually return false, else we're going to return true. So this method is going to, we're going to be able to use this to determine if we're updating or if it's a new object that's going to be inserted in the database. Okay, so we just add that just for ease of use. And then what we're going to do is inside of our inside of the unique validator, just make sure this is not equal to, and then go up to the app and open up models and users, and right here we've added some validation here, and actually there's going to be something that fails here, and that's because this right here matches. We're not going to check matches when we update, so we're going to fix that. And then the other one is we don't want to rehash the password before save, only if it's a new thing. So what we can do here is we're going to say if this is new, then what we want to do is hash this password, else we're going to leave it alone. Okay, what that means though is that if you guys want to update a password, you're going to have to create a method to do so, which is not hard to do. Alright, so that will take care of the before save issue, and then we also, just in this last little validator here, we need to wrap this in this is new, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and copy this and move it right inside that if statement there. Alright, so that should actually take care of your validation for updating a user. Just need to make sure that the proper validation happens inside of the isNew, and then the before save, we need to make sure we're only rehashing that password if it is actually indeed a new object. So now you have this isNew that you can use. I went through and refactored a lot of the model stuff in the new framework, but we're not, I think that'll get us for right now and help you guys finish the projects that you're currently working on. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to show you guys is, let's talk about how we could do the how can we do the Ajax request. And so basically what we're going to do is go down to core and open up the controller, and we're going to add a new method to the controller. And this new method is going to be pretty straightforward, but we're going to say public function JSON response, okay, and it's going to accept a response, which will be an array, an associative array. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to actually set some header information. So we'll say header, and we're going to say access control allow origin, and that will be star. Okay. And then what we'll do is say header, and we're going to say content dash type, and we're going to set that to application slash JSON to let it know that it is JSON. And then we're also going to set the character set equal to UTF-8. Okay, that's all the header information that we need to do. I'm going to go ahead and give this a response code. So HTTP response and code, and that will be 200. And then what we want to do is just echo JSON encode, and then we're going to pass in our response into that. And then what we want to do is kill the application. So we'll just hit exit. So that's it for our JSON response. What that will do is basically set the headers for our response, and then it's going to take an associative array that we pass into the JSON response, and I'll show you how to use this in a moment. And it will JSON encode that and then echo it. Okay. There won't be any sort of HTML or anything like that, because this is going to be an application JSON of content type, so you're not going to be loading in a layout or anything like that. So let's look at what this looks like. So I think just to test this, what we'll do is open up our controllers. This is where we're going to use it, is inside of a controller, and more specifically you're going to be using it inside of controller actions. So let's go ahead and open up the home controller here, and I want to add a new, and this is just for an example. This is not something we're going to use, but I'm going to show you how to use this. So I'm going to say public function, and let's just do test Ajax action. Okay, and then this is where you would kind of build up a response. You would do all your logic here, but for the time being, I'm just going to create an associative array, and I'm going to put success true, and I don't know, we'll give it something like data, and then we'll say, you know, we could pass in another deeply nested array here, so we can say ID 23, name, you know, this is all just made up data, but imagine this is from your database. Favorite food. I shouldn't have typed that because I don't even know what my favorite food is, but I would say it's probably bread, some sort of bread. I like a lot of bread and carbs. That's why I'm fat. Alright, so then what we're going to do is we have our response. So imagine this is not how you would normally do this, but imagine you've reached out to your database and you've gotten this. So you're building out a response like this, and then all we have to do is say this JSON response, and then we pass in our array, our response array, and that's it. That's going to be our big bad response. This is how you can do a response for your JSON. So let's just show an example of this inside of our index page. I'm just going to open views, and I'm going to go to home and index, and what I'm going to do here is just for ease of use, I'm gonna add not a link. Let's just add a div, and I'm gonna give it an on click, and this on click is going to be, we're gonna fire off Ajax test. Okay, and again, this is just this is simply just an example, guys. This is probably not what you would do. Alright, so I'm just going to put some text in here. Click me. All right, so then what we're going to do is just, I have jQuery installed, but you can use whatever you want for your Ajax request. Axios, you can use fetch, you know, whatever basically you normally use, vanilla JavaScript or whatever. The purpose isn't to teach you how to do Ajax requests, it's how to do Ajax with this framework, and which is pretty much just adding that JSON response in the controller. So what we'll have to do is, let's go ahead and open some script tags. And we need to create this function, Ajax test. All right, so I'm just going to say function Ajax test. Okay, so when we click that, it's going to run this function, and we're going to do an Ajax call here. So it's just for jQuery, let's do $.ajax. And then it gets, you pass in an object, and what we need to do here is give it the URL. So we say URL, and in our instance it's going to be our URL is going to be let's see, we'll do our project root. And then we're just going to say home / what do we call that? I think Ajax, test Ajax. Okay, so that'll be our URL. And then what we'll do is we'll pass some data into that. And I'll just say, I don't know what you guys will be passing, but let's do something like that. And then we need our success function. So that is going to be an anonymous function, and we're just going to show our response, or pass our response into that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to console log our response, although don't really need to do that because we're going to look at that in our inspector. Let's see if I've done that correctly. I just kind of made that up on the fly here. So we'll go here and refresh our page, and now we have this click me. But before I click that, I'm going to open the inspector, and then I'm going to open up network, and I'm going to click on our request here, Ajax request, and I'm going to click that and see what happens. So it did make an Ajax request. It looks like it made it with get. So I think I need to add another parameter here of type, and then post. So let's see if that works. Let's go back, refresh, and then I'm gonna. Okay, so here's our test Ajax. You can see that it is an Ajax request here, and it came back with a status of 300. So let's click on that, and now we can see our headers. So this is, our form data was the model ID that we passed in, no big deal. But what was the response was this. This is a raw response here. This is a JSON string, and if you look at the preview, we have the success and data, so you can look right through this response. So that's coming from our test here. We made an Ajax call to this action. Okay, so you just make it Ajax call to your action just like normal, and then you do a JSON response, and then you can use that however you want. So we did a console log, but you could do, you could do whatever you want. You could say, if response dot success, then you could say window dot alert response dot data dot name. Okay, so let's see if that works. Refresh, click me, and then boom, here you go. You can see that I'm using the data from the JSON response. So that's it, guys. I mean, that is exactly how you would do a JSON response. This was just or an Ajax request. This is just an example, a stupid one, but I mainly just wanted to show you that how to build this JSON response inside the controller, and then inside of your controllers you can use it on any one of your actions and just pass an associative array into it, and it will give you the response. So that's it, and let's just go and double check that our bug fix is handled. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the home controller, and up here on the index, before we render the view, I'm just going to grab my user real quick. So let me look in the database and see what that user is. Localhost PHP myadmin, and jump in here. So my ID is 1. So what I want to do here is I'm just going to say use core h, and then here I'm going to say user is equal to h current user. And then what I want to do is say user, and I'm going to change my name to test. Now if I've done this right, if I hit user save, this should update my record when I visit the home page, because we're just double checking our validator here. Alright, so undefined method current user, let me check that out. I probably just so I'll go to core helpers. I see, so it's not in that. It's actually probably where's my current user? Well, I know one place I can check. So I forgot where I put this back in the day here. So if the session exists, login user. Okay. Sorry guys, give me 1 second here to figure out what the heck. I'm gonna go to my views, and I'm gonna go to layouts, main menu. I know I used it in here. Oh, it's in the users. Okay. All right, so what I need to do in the home controller, instead of doing H, which I'm going to leave that just in case. So I'll do another use app models users, and then here we're going to set this, instead of helpers, this is just going to be users current user. Refresh, column name, and that is because it's actually f name. Let's refresh, and you can see that it did work up here because it says hello test. Now let's go and test the reverse. So I'm going to go back to the validator that we fixed. So I just want to double check that we've completely fixed this. I'm going to go to unique validator here, and I'm going to get rid of the logic that we just changed, and going to in the home controller, I'm going to go ahead and change my name back to Curtis, and this will actually fail. So this was what the actual original bug was. Well, dang it. I don't know why that passed, but let's see. Look at the users. Well, regardless, I know this is a bug, and I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. So go back to the unique validator, and this does need to be equal to not equals. like that. And so I know that for a fact. So the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about before we wrap up this series is the framework moving forward. I've already changed the code a lot. And if you guys want to see that, you just go to my Bitbucket here, and my Bitbucket is Parham Curtis, and then look for the Rua MVC framework, and this master branch will be the current release of this. And you guys can go and look at all my commits. You can see that I've made a lot of commits recently, and I will continue to make commits to this. So, and then also what we're going to do is in the README soon you'll see a start of the documentation, and then a link to the website to download the framework and to have access to the full documentation for the framework. So I'm really excited about that. So it's been quite the journey. And guys, I want to congratulate you for going through this entire series. And I want you guys to just give yourselves a big round of applause. This was not an easy course, and there's still much more to do. It's just the beginning, but I think you guys, if you followed along, you'll have an understanding of the MVC structure, and also just the basics and the beginnings of how to build your own frameworks that you can use to speed up your production and development time by a lot. So with that, guys, I want to tell you guys sincerely, thank you for everything. Thank you for all the nice comments you guys have left me. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for subscribing. And guys, I hope to see you in another series. And I'm currently, as of the time I'm shooting this video, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, US Central Time, I am doing a live stream where we're using the framework, the updated version of the framework, to build out an e-commerce site. So if you would like to see that, I would love for you guys to check out that series and be a part of the live series. Don't worry about coming in late. You can get caught up. I always have the source code available for each episode, and you can go back and watch previous videos if you want to. Well, with that, guys, thank you, and I will talk to you later.